As the West Asia war rages on, the United States has deployed massive firepower in the Strait of Hormuz. It includes the 3 aircraft carriers, destroyers, and advanced missile defenses. But despite this overwhelming presence, protecting commercial shipping in the narrow strait is proving to be more difficult than it looks. The reason is simple: asymmetry. The US Navy is designed for open ocean dominance, but the Strait of Hormuz is a 21-mile wide checkpoint where the actual shipping lanes are barely 2 miles wide in each direction. That turns the waterway into what military experts call a sniper's alley. Large warships become predictable targets for shore-based missiles, naval mines, and drone attacks. And then there is the economics of modern warfare. Iran can launch swarms of cheap drones costing $20,000 to $50,000, while the United States has to fire interceptor missiles costing $2 to $4 million to stop them. Even a successful defense becomes an economic defeat. Iran's naval doctrine also relies on swarm tactics. Hundreds of small, fast attack boats surrounding large warships from multiple directions, overwhelming radar systems and defenses. Add to that the threat of naval mines, which are cheap, invisible, and extremely difficult to clear. So despite aircraft carriers and advanced weapons, the Strait of Hormuz remains one of the most dangerous and strategically complex battle zones in the world. And the bigger question is, this has made Iran more confident. And Iran has also found the perfect battlefield, where geography, economics, and tactics neutralizes America's naval power. Now, on this issue, I am joined by Major General Sudhakarji and Air Commodore Dr. Ashwinder Singh Bahal. Let me straight away go to Air Commodore Ashwinder Singh Bahal. Inability of the aircraft carriers to neutralize the asymmetric warfare of Iran, what is it telling us, sir?
Absolutely right, Kartikeya. Jai Hind, and I acknowledge the presence of my friend and extremely intellectual gentleman. Um, One thing I want to tell you straight away: what is the purpose of a carrier battle group or an aircraft carrier? It is to take offshore the aircraft. The runway is now on the open seas, and from where you can reach and attack targets that are very far away from shore. But here, you are operating close to Oman, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar. You have bases in all these areas. So where is the requirement of a carrier battle group here? Its basic concept doesn't make it to be employed here. Okay, second point is geography itself, like you rightly mentioned. The choke point is just about 33 kilometers wide, and there are just 2 lanes. That is one incoming, outgoing of 2 miles, and a gap of 2 miles in between. So where is the question of any maneuverability or tactical formation? Now, even if we say we don't need a carrier battle group here, but what we need is maybe destroyers, then again, there is no maneuvering space available for the destroyers. In any case, where the land is so close to you, and if there is hostile land which is close to you, there'll be so many weapon systems from swarm of drones, like you mentioned. And also, in addition to that, extremely important, they now have drone boats. They also have underwater.
For our viewers, can you just define what a drone boat is? A lot of people might get confused, What is a
Now,
drone boat?
a drone boat, what it means is a small boat, but there is no human being in it. It is like an unmanned vehicle, but now working its way through on the waters. But there are unmanned underwater vehicles also, and they have this ASDAR, which is unmanned underwater vehicle. So they have all the three things. Now, midget submarines also, fast attack crafts also, and fast attack crafts, they have large numbers, those small boats which are armed, which are actually run by human beings, but they are in numbers of 1,500. Now, even if they shoot down 10, 20, 30, 40, there are still hundreds available. And now we look at mining. If you now mine this area, which they intend to do, you can again mine it with a submarine, you can mine it with a ship, you can mine it with a drone boat, you can mine it with a fishing vessel, you can mine it from the coast with the help of rocket launchers, and you have those M3M Russian mines which can operate just under the surface by 1 to 3 meters. You have mines that can go to the seabed, you have mines that are floating on water, and these mines, most of them cannot be seen, and they have such specialized sensors that they get activated by magnetic pulses or pressure waves or even
Okay.
acoustics, that is sound waves. So now you have something, the sensor, seismic sensor picks it up when it is not even in direct contact and explodes. And you have the M3M mines with 300 kgs of explosives. So imagine a situation where you have a choke point which connects the Sea of Oman with Persian Gulf, that minor choke point where the ships have to come close and you can attack them either from shore or from ships or from drones or from air or from missiles, and you have underwater tunnels from where you can launch your even long range cruise missiles.
Okay, so sir, this brings me to another question, and this I'm going to ask General Sudhakar ji. I know I'm using an Atishokti Alankar, but I must. Can this Strait of Hormuz turn out to be the Waterloo for the American Navy? That's one. And secondly, I mean, say, where a scalpel was required, have the Americans gone for a hammer?
Good evening, Karthik. A very, I would say, very brilliant questions that you have asked. The answer to the first question is yes. There are reasons, hidden perspectives which are not being discussed in the open domain. Let's not ignore the fact, the deep involvement of China in supporting Iran. And wherever China, whichever country it supports, it tries to mm, create a warlike scenario to validate the concept it is going to try out for successful reunification of Taiwan. It may not come with boots on ground, it may not have one-to-one direct confrontation, but let's not ignore the fact that Strait of Hormuz is one of the ideal landmass which actually offers a suitable similarity that is obtaining with, if not entire, the Taiwan Strait is 131 to 180 kilometers wide. Over here, you say it's only 33 kilometers. Yes, that's a navigable stretch, waterline. But the complete width of the Strait of Hormuz is around 87 to 89 kilometers. So we'll leave it at that. The answer to first question is yes. I totally agree with you. The point that you have raised. Why yes? Despite all the military might which USA has, what ultimately matters is the bin counting of the strategic reserve, of the armaments, of the missiles, of the interceptors, of the torpedoes, because they are mindful of the fact there are two commands: Indo-Pacific Command, based in Hawaii, and the Central Command, based in Middle East. The Central Command, as on today, the strategic reserve of the Tomahawk, the Patriot missile. I'm just giving example of only one. The rest all can be extrapolated. Patriot missile, as against whatever they're supposed to hold 2,500 or more. They're holding only 600. This I'm not saying. One of the CIA officials, retired, who was an advisor to previous US government, he's gone on open media and podcast. He's the one who's given this figure. Indo-Pacific, as against 3,500 stock or the stockpile, they are holding just about 1,500. Every 1,500. Every Tomahawk missile, every Patriot fired here will deny those kind of projectiles to American forces should they come in as per the commitment made in the TRA, Taiwan Relation Act 1979. Whether it's going to take that contour and shape, well, it is anybody's guess. Last point that you made is uh, if is he applying the hammer, USA? Yes, there is a realization that has come. Initially, they thought Iran was a cakewalk, and there are too many challenges which are emerging, too many invisible, skeletons coming out of the cupboard. The first one is the disruption of the economy. Second one, disruption of the energy. Fortunately, the evening report is talking about Brent crude oil having come down from
Yes.
$120 per barrel to $87.60, and the WTI, that is the West Texas Intermediate, has come down to 82.07. How it has happened, my friend over there, he says, this is for the first time in the history of geopolitics, the global order, who are dealing with the oil, they have unitedly, they have released coordinated the reserve of multiple stakeholders. So that's a very healthy sign. But But the oil in the ointment is where it is pinching you and me. Today, Indian consumer, the Indian kitchen, my kitchen is affected. The gas cylinder is not available. The LNG, therefore, it will do us good to no matter what we discuss, we must always put our acts together, go in for de-escalation of the situation in the Middle
You
East.
know, it also, sir, it also tells us bigger is not better. You know, the bigger is not better, because, you know, what is the use of these $13 billion, $14 billion toys if they can't keep this strait open? Then there is no use, because it's not one aircraft carrier. You know, you have destroyers, frigates, submarines. It's an entire armada, and the geography makes it vulnerable. Sir, Dr. Bahal, my question is this entire war strategy, which is asymmetrical, is turning out to be what stringers were to the Mujahideens in 1980s against Me-32, you know, the big, you know, they would have like 36 soldiers inside with every weapon in the world, but they would be still vulnerable because someone would be standing on a mountain top with one stringer. And look at these Shahid drones or whatever, the sort of drones which they have. They are not being able to, or the Americans are not being able to deploy its sea might in its entirety because they are afraid one hit on its prized asset will be forged in history forever.
Very nicely explained, Kartikeya, because if you remember, the Abraham Lincoln was floating just 800 kilometers from Iran. And suddenly you find between 600 to 800, suddenly you find it's gone beyond 1,000 kilometers. So why has it done that? Primarily because there have been news, whether it is confirmed or not, that there were two impacts on the Abraham Lincoln, and therefore they had to move them back. Not that the aircraft carrier has sunk or something, but it got damaged to a certain extent. But they were worried that if it sinks, 5,000 people will sink along with it. 75 to 90 aircraft will also get affected, depending on how many cannot get airborne because of the hits that have taken place. Now, I come back to a very important aspect here. You know, the most important thing is I personally believe that Trump is not able to do red teaming. Red teaming means that you sit in the shoes of the enemy and then determine what he's going to do and not fall into his trap. And that is exactly what is happening. The strategy that they employed of hitting at the political and military leaders and hitting at various military institutions, IRGC commanders, but did it result in two important things? One, regime change. Did regime change take place? No. Second is, were you able to get 440 kgs of enriched uranium? No. Now we come back to the Straits of Hormuz. Iran's strategy is pretty simple. He wants to endure and extend this war in a manner that the casualties increase on the Americans, and at the same time, the Gulf of Straits of Hormuz remains closed, with the result the whole world is getting affected. And like my friend was mentioning, the LPG price, you know, it's not the oil that is going to get hit so badly. It is Qatar, which is the largest exporter of natural gas and LPG, which is getting affected. And that is why the whole world, the prices of, as per the Saudi Arabia itself, 33% have gone up of gas. And also in European markets, 45% it has gone up. With the result, what is happening is there is today a shortage of LNG and LPG, and the prices are continuing to hit. And if this global shortage continues, and you look at what is happening in Pakistan.
So my question is, my question is, General Sudhakarji, then where are the bombs being dropped by Americans? And what are these bombs doing? Because ultimately, if Americans wants to do anything, they should free up the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if you don't free up the Strait of Hormuz and continue to bomb Iran, then ultimately the pain is felt by everyone except Donald Trump.
See, very good question, Karthik. Uh, it's a catch-22 objective. Catch-22, if they do, they're damned. If they don't do, they're damned. That's why I'm saying catch-22. In the history of Strait of Hormuz, whatever I remember and respect my memory, you read the complete Strait of Hormuz. Not even once has ever a superpower, similar situations have taken place. It actually picked up very violent activity, volatile activities when the Suez Canal crisis was taking place, 56. Then in 60s, something happened that started off. In 80s, Iran-Iraq war, it was almost in that manner. In 2019, similar thing happened. You see, the criticality we have to understand Strait of Hormuz. I'll come back to your main core point is that Iran, most of us may not be knowing as on today. If I'm wrong, I'm open to correction. It does not have a refinery itself. It has to send for its domestic consumption. Its oil has to go out, get refined, then come back. Therefore, keeping Strait of Hormuz open is also as relevant and as important to Iran as to anybody else. So that is one part. Secondly, yes, during Iran-Iraq war, they kept on, taking pot shot at each other's vessels, but they never closed the Strait of Hormuz. Similarly, 2019, they had gone to the extent. You see, mining the sea is very dangerous. It is a double-edged. Mine is always a double-edged weapon. They're almost on the verge of, mining and stopping or closing the thing. But then the Iran realized that if I do it, well, then what do I do about my own oil coming back? So therefore, what I'm coming to is that Strait of Hormuz, yes, it is one of the ideal targets. It should be taken stock of by some power which is superior. Like you rightly said, America is the superior power, very competent, capable, but that bin counting of the reserves is actually preventing. And the Air Commodore brought out one point. It is not a fabricated information. I am confirming that Abraham Lincoln, the aircraft carrier, has been hit by a ballistic missile. I'm a retired man, I don't have a photograph, but
Okay.
I've done that kind of study. It has
Okay.
been hit, that is why it has gone back, because for repair and maintenance, it has to be nearer to a port where it can be repaired. The
Okay.
only place where it can be repaired is the Mundra port or some place. Gradually, it will be actually navigating towards Indian Ocean. It has been hit.
We'll get
And
to
that,
see. We are
secondly,
signatory to Lemua.
second, last point, Karthike. Iran is gradually, these things have been planned for past 20 years. They have not planned from the day 20th of
Sir.
February. Then they are gradually escalating from one level of warfare to another level, from asymmetric warfare to an warfare of, Muhammad Ali that I told you, I think yesterday, that strategy with Muhammad, rope the dope, exhaust the enemy to such an extent that it virtually falls down. You don't have to knock him out.